What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today I'm jumping back into some Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time I'm actually going to be doing the Banquet Hall on War Mage. So, War Mage introduces a lot of new things that you'll have to deal with, including explosive kobolds, and with the increased waves, more bosses, and even enemy heroes coming to try to tamper with your setup. So, going to jump in, and I'll be using pretty much the same roles as before. I'll be playing Max, and we will be doing this with starting traps and no additional items or perks right now. So I'm currently level 48, I believe, count level. So that should, if you see any differences in my damage versus yours, that should ultimately be it. The barricade and the floor spikes are tier 4. Brimstone, tar, and arrow wall are 3. Concussive pounder is 2, and swinging mace is still 1. Alright, jumping right in, what you'll immediately notice is you're starting on the left side versus the right like you did in Apprentice.
I'll never notice this.
So, with that being said, we are not going to trap this up the same way that we did before. It's going to be similar in the end, but how you start's a bit different. So, here we have the minions spawning. Going to drop our single guardian right there so we can soften everybody up while we start, and then we are going to place a tar trap in this little alcove, because once we build everything out, this is ultimately where everyone will be going. We are going to drop this brimstone, and then we're going to spike, build 2 arrow walls, and that's how we'll get the start of this build going. Now we have these guys. We're basically just going to try to swarm the gates. Now these are kobolds, so you want to try to zap them as soon as you can. If you manage to get them right, you'll eliminate most of the trouble that you'll have with this wave. If you start taking a bunch of damage, feel free to pop Max's reflector. Deal as much damage as you can up front. Orcs aren't even aggroing me. That's nuts. And as you start to actually pick some of them off, there are the kobolds. Zap as many of them as you can. That's really what you're worried about here. Alright, and the kobolds will make it up here, and that's what the brimstone was for. So kobolds are usually going to be the first thing that actually makes it up here. Alright. We're going to immediately mash Z because that's how we do it.
Look out! Our defenses have been breached again. I'll never notice this.
Alright, and there we go. Enemies are funneled. We got a second brimstone up here for kobolds that will be happening in the future. Once we get a little bit more money, we're going to drop another tar. That'll help to make sure that those arrows land on as many things as possible. And then we're going to take a max accuracy increase, and we're going to kind of counter snipe these archers. There we go. Is that it? Oh, nope. There's another set of kobolds on their way. So the tar makes it easier for you not only to shoot the kobolds, but for them to group up on the other traps, and that's super important. We're going to mash Z here, and while it looks like we should just continue building out, I'm going to build the funnel up a bit, drop another brimstone, and then we're going to run over here and to the left. You'll see why in just a moment. And that's what it is. We have some kobolds, exploding kobolds, or kobold kamikazes, whatever you want to remember them as. And they're basically going to cause you all sorts of problems. Enemies are going to make it through most of what we have set up here. So we're going to run through here, zap a few, fire in your faces, pop the deflector. Alright, as we start taking the damage, enemies start to group up, and then we unchained. And look, good, nothing got through. That was a pretty risky situation just because the kobolds actually started to group up. But with that, we are going to take in the Kisser, which should allow us to one-shot any bosses as they show up. And we're going to go ahead and build this out now.
This right here. You'll never notice this. Whoopsie, almost hurt myself on that.
Right.
Twice, cut once. I'll just leave
We're
this
about
right here.
done.
You'll never notice this.
And now you might be thinking, why don't I just build spikes? And that's for a couple of reasons. One is tars will make it so that you get very what's the best way to describe it? Even-handed combos. Tars, like going from trap to trap and the tars always being on, essentially makes it so that they always trigger. So your combos get extended and they're much longer, getting you additional coin, which is great since Max has decreased trap cost. And in addition to the decreased coin, and they're already about to kill my Guardian. In addition to the increased coin, you also have your Unchained meter. At the moment, only combos fill up your Unchained meter, so it is the sole reason that you actually build for combos in the game right now. And I think like being able to automatically generate Unchained is super important. Mainly because it's something that a lot of players don't really seem to focus on when building their trap setups. And I mean, I played up to like Master and Rift Lord in a few cases, and most people just seem to go for very, not simplistic, but builds that they like rather than things that might be beneficial for any individual stage. And understanding the mechanics on how the enemies are built is pretty much like one of the core competencies of tower defense games. Okay, so now we got So Beautiful It Hurts. Anything that we stuns, take an extra 75% damage now. Yep. Alright, we're just gonna mash that button again. Now I think this may be a hero wave. I don't think we have exploding kobolds again, because I'm not afraid.
You'll never notice this.
They've summoned a boss minion.
Twice, cut
Okay.
once. I'll just leave this right here.
Arrow wall this up
Almost hurt myself on
very
that.
much. If anything manages to get this far, I'm pretty much already screwed up. No, we have Orpheum, so I need to kind of run here. So enemies are normally going to just path around, but my goal is really... Oh, I missed that shot. That's bad. Alright, so we're gonna zap him with the in your face, and because of In the Kisser, it one-shots him like I wanted. So, like I said, that's pretty much the entire reason why we took it. And that worked out. Having taken another choice might have been significantly more risky, especially since I missed the absolutely stunning bolts, which would have given me even more damage and probably killed him sooner. But now that we pretty much have that area built up effectively, what we're going to do is start trapping in here to sort of weaken most of the enemies that are coming through before... Oh, now we have these guys to deal with. Okay. So, if you manage to kill all three of those dudes, you don't have to worry about your traps. Or your barricades specifically being blown up. Now, if they blow up the barricades on the right, because I've actually trapped it all the way back here now, I actually don't even have anything to worry about. Alright, and so that first wave pretty much dies in time for the traps behind them to mostly reset. The brimstones won't be fully recharged, but that's why we place a few more down the line. And that lets them reset enough to actually burn the majority of things and just make sure that, again, our combos stay good. So I think that was the last wave of sort of really dangerous stuff. And there's a reason that I sort of pepper the traps this way too, and that's because it allows enemies that may happen to run on diagonals to get hit by the largest variety of traps. because traps will trigger very oddly when enemies pass through them diagonally, and so you want to try to make sure that enemies sort of have a good selection of stuff to run through. Alright, in your face just slows by 50%. Nope, we're going to take persistent almost exclusively with Max because of, whoa, yeah, started shooting myself. Because of the additional damage that it gives you, and because it allows you to essentially auto-target certain enemies. Alright, so, bam. Nice. If you can manage to stun Max, if he happens to be your enemy hero, and hit him with a in your faces, then that will actually prevent him from being able to do anything dangerous, sort of screw up what you have going on.
This right here. They'll never notice this.
Okay. Probably only need brimstones from this point forward.
One shot.
Enemies get really heavy in later waves because they assume that you've built up a good selection of traps. So you'll start to see a lot of medium and heavy orcs, these being the heavy orcs. And as long as most of the enemies that are coming up are ranged, you can sort of just stay behind the wall and they'll be forced to path into whatever you have going on here. So now we're just going to pop this and run in. And now we get a lot of Unchained power-ups that we don't use. So if you're going really well and you see a bunch of Unchained drops, feel free to just pop your Unchained and go to work. I don't have any bonuses that increase the length of Unchained right now, so that's the default length, and then afterwards you just grab one. And one of the things that I have an issue with right now is how unreliable the volume is for the Unchained meter on the Unchained pickup. Like, sometimes you'll get a full Unchained, and sometimes it is not. And I haven't figured out whether or not that's split among, among multiplayer right now. If it is, then it would make sense, but if it's just completely random values, then that's really weird. And it being inconsistent is also kind of detrimental for how players like dole out what they need. Because if you're in a multiplayer game and like one person needs a full Unchained bar and that will give it to you, and somebody else needs like half an Unchained bar and it splits it between the team, like you won't necessarily be able to determine exactly how much Unchained like one person will get from it, or whether or not everybody will just wind up Unchained. Alright, and I think this is it.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Alright, that's the Banquet Hall. 5 stars. Okay, 10 minutes and 38 seconds. That's almost 2 minutes under par, which is pretty good. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm level 49. So next level is going to be 50. And you do get some minor rewards for leveling up in addition to the minor character health and damage. There are, here we go, 250 skulls, I believe, per level right now. It would be nice if like right now, most of the game's progression is extremely limited to what you find in chests. And what I would kind of like to see is base level unlocks for items, like you just getting like say a certain card or item. Like right now the difficulties, actually, you know what? Let me save this for another video because that would actually be something interesting to talk about. But basically, it'd be a good idea if you got to you were introduced by traps through your level, and then you received things that you might be able to upgrade on the traps by obtaining chests. But that even requires going into some other things about the loot system in the game currently. And as the game's still open beta and we've just gone through a huge change, there's a good chance that a few other things might change in the future. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching as always, and until next time, have a good one.